We should warn you, what you're about to hear could be disturbing.
17 people have been killed, students and adults.
58 people now dead, more than 500 people wounded.
We are committed to working with state and local leaders to help secure our schools and tackle the difficult issue of mental health.
But we are not the only country on earth that has people with mental illnesses. We are the only advanced country on earth that sees these kinds of mass shootings every few months.
And we need to remember that the brain is just another organ. It can be healthy and it can be unhealthy. So my name is Jeremy Richmond and I am a neuroscientist. Specifically, I'm a neuropsychopharmacologist. I had an opportunity to come out to Western Connecticut to work for various companies out here, and we moved, the three of us, my wife Jennifer, myself, and our beautiful baby girl Avielle. And unfortunately, Avielle was one of the 20 first graders and 6 educators that were murdered on a very dark Friday, December 14th of 2012. And we created a foundation in honor of our beautiful baby girl called the Avielle Foundation to leave a legacy, if you will, with the mission to prevent violence and to build compassion through neuroscience research, community engagement, and education. Strengthening the gun laws, I think, has been critical for a long time, and we let it get so far out of control. It's difficult to grab onto now. It's got a lot of momentum, but I think we can do it. If you're asking me personally, magazine clips, assault rifles, high velocity, rapid fire weapons should be illegal. That would have saved lives in Sandy Hook for a fact. It's not disputable.
To be alive at this moment, to witness this awakening, this enough is enough, this never again, it's something that you just have to be inspired by.
I complain a lot, especially about the politics and the current situation in our government, but I found out that there's actually a little more I can do than just talk about it. What happened here today was utterly amazing, and it really gave us a sense that what we're doing was not only idealistic, but it was much more possible than any of us imagined.
These kids move me, and I will march with them until these knuckleheads in the White House and these lawmakers change the law.
We need a progressive agenda. We've got to have a compromise, because politics is about compromise. You're not going to get everything that you want. We have to at least be willing to come together as a country and say, people over principle. All this resistance we're hearing is about principle.
But I do think as a community we have to pay better attention to the people in our midst who are suffering, and we can't just push them aside or tell them to go away until they can behave better. We have to embrace them and invite them in so that they can be made whole. And it's to stop this incredibly ridiculous polarization of pulling people into opposite sides of the spectrum and telling them that they're at war with each other. That rhetoric coming from the NRA is just toxic and horrible.
Okay, I'm Paul Soroyce from Cheshire, Connecticut. I've been a member of the NRA for about 40 years, and I'm a big game hunter. I've hunted from South Africa to British Columbia. I do have a lot of firearms in my house, and I have a lot of children. We have 13 children in the house. But if you take your gun ownership seriously, keep ammunition separate. I take the bolts out of a lot of my rifles, so even if they had the ammunition and the firearm, they still could not fire it without the bolt in the rifle. As long as they're treated properly, people will not get hurt. Well, gun control legislation is pretty stringent as it is in this country. In America, it's going to be hard to make it too strict for guns because we are a free society. I really don't think more laws would help if you're focusing them just strictly on guns, because the guns are already out there, and if somebody gets a hold of them, you know, like the one case in Connecticut, he killed his mother before he went on a mass shooting spree. I mean, if he'll do that to his mother, no law is going to stop him from harming someone else with that firearm. None of us ever want to have to shoot another human being, but it is protected for us in the Second Amendment. I'm certainly sympathetic to the people in the march, and I feel for them, and I wish it were only that easy to have a march and never have these shootings happen again. But unfortunately, I think they're going about it the wrong way. Their intent is certainly in the right place, but a march is not going to help the issues that need to be addressed. We need to focus more on mental health issues in this country more than taking away the guns from legal citizens.
People aren't seeing this huge problem. On the one side of the debate, you hear people with the sentiment, you know, essentially look no further than the mentally ill. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. And on the other side of the aisle is the response to that is the sentiment, people with mental illnesses are far more likely to be victims of violence than to be perpetrators. And we really need to objectively look at both of these, regardless of which side of that aisle that you're on. People are less likely to get help for themselves when they're having a crisis of brain illness, when they're feeling strange, when they aren't feeling normal. So unfortunately, people are less likely to get help if you blame any violent acts on them. And let's recognize that the largest contributor to my daughter's murder by the Sandy Hook shooter was clearly because of the illnesses that the shooter had experienced his whole life. She would just narrate her story for the day, and it's a voice I miss profoundly. And in the most traumatic, heartbreaking horrors are those times that you can't remember her voice, or you can't you can't remember a smile. But yeah, she was you know, everybody's going to say their child was an exception and is an exception, and she was.